Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Redeye Reviews. You might be a little surprised that I'm posting on a weekday and not on a Saturday, but I just watched Studio Ghibli's new movie, Earwig and the Witch, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. That being said, there still will be a video this Saturday, so think of this as kind of like a bonus episode. As always, I am going to start with a quick synopsis, so if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want it totally spoiled, just skip ahead to this time on the screen here, and you can jump right to my thoughts. Okay, you've been warned. A witch leaves her child named Earwig at an orphanage because she's made some enemies with other witches and she wants the baby to be safe. So cut to the future, and the baby, named Earwig, is now about 10 years old and practically runs the orphanage. She gets whatever she wants and she hangs out with her friend named Custard. Despite not wanting to be adopted, Earwig gets chosen by this bizarre couple named Bella Yaga and the Mandrake. When they get home, she learns that Bella is a witch and Mandrake's sort of like a demon. Bella only adopted Earwig to kind of have an extra pair of hands around her potion shop and do chores and clean and stuff. Earwig agrees, but wants to learn how to be a witch and learn how to do spells and potions, so she will help Bella and clean as long as Bella kind of teaches her. Bella agrees to this, but secretly she doesn't have any plans of actually teaching Earwig anything. Though we also randomly learn this cat can talk. He's a character, it doesn't really matter. If you know Miyazaki, you know that he loves talking cats. So the two of them work together on a spell to literally give Bella Yaga an extra pair of hands and kind of mess with her because Earwig's upset that she's not actually being taught any sort of magic. The spell works, but starts a series of events that spirals the house kind of into madness. During this time, Earwig learns that the Mandrake and Bella Yaga used to be in a band together called Earwig, hence her name. She gets them to open up a little bit, and they learn to love the girl, and they actually decide to start teaching her magic. We cut to 6 months in the future. We see Earwig is happy as a little witch, and on Christmas finally convinces her friend from the orphanage, Custard, to come over. And then we see Earwig's mother showing up to kind of stop in on a visit. That's where the credits end there, so we don't know if she's there to see her daughter or there to just visit the band, and it was a weird coincidence. It ends there, so I guess we don't get that answered. Okay, now this is Studio Ghibli's first primarily CGI film. Feature film, I should say. They did a TV show called Ranja the Robber's Daughter, I guess, back in 2014. I haven't seen it, but apparently that is also CGI. Now, I'm sure I am like a lot of you, and I'm sad to see CGI come out of a studio known for their incredible hand-drawn art style, especially knowing how strongly Miyazaki despised CGI and pushed against it. If you haven't seen his reaction to how he views CGI, here's a really short clip. こんなことをやっています。
何も考えないでやってるでしょ。極めて不愉快ですよね。そんなに気持ち悪いものをやりたいなら勝手にやってればいいだけで、僕はこれを自分たちの仕事をつなげたいとは全然思いません。極めて何か生命に対する侮辱を感じます。
これでもほとんど実験なので、
それは分かってます。
その世の中に見ててどうこうってそういうのじゃないんですよ。
それは本当によく分かってるつもりですけど、地球の最後の日が近いって感じですね。それは人間の方が自信がなくなってくるから。
He calls CGI an insult to life itself. And you can see how destroyed those words made his employee here. And that feeling is kind of how I felt about this movie. It's sad to see the studio bend their morals into the realm of CGI and have this be the result of that. I can give them some slack because they don't have anywhere near the experience in CGI that, say, like Pixar or Disney has. But this movie kind of makes me question where the future of Studio Ghibli will go. Because they pride themselves in their colorful worlds and their detailed backgrounds and expressive characters. And what this movie provides us is these kind of weird, sort of lifeless dolls and like strangely shaded renderings and kind of dull backgrounds. You could argue that this is stylized to appear this way, but I can't accept that knowing the quality of work the studio is actually capable of creating. Because, I mean, they have a huge portfolio, obviously, of amazing work that we will compare this to, sadly. My biggest issue with this movie is really just the diversity of graphics and the details. I don't think anything is bad. It just doesn't... It's not cohesive. Like, you have this world that feels very pretty in some scenes, clearly kind of CGI renderings in other scenes. You have these incredibly detailed rooms. Like, I know that Studio Ghibli is known for exquisite detail, and it's no exception in a lot of these places. Like this potion shop it's amazing. There's stuff everywhere to look at. But what you get are these kind of bizarre doll people interacting with that world. And the style clashes so hard. Again, you have like incredibly photorealistic food, which it's awesome looking. Like it is crazy real here. And then you have like this cat. And this cat is bad. It's really bad. It's obvious that the studio struggled with animating hair, which is why they made these crazy kind of Lego head pieces for a lot of their characters. And I mean, we've seen this for 20 or 30 years. Like Pixar struggled with animating hair so much so that they invented their own software to get it right in like movies like Monsters, Inc. And I know, saying that full well, that part of it takes a lot of time. But it's really ambitious for your first CGI project to jump into such a undertaking. And with the cat, they really missed the mark. It would be much easier to leave him out of the film. You have one less style to clash. I know Miyazaki loves his talking cats. I know we all love his talking cats. But in this one movie, maybe we leave them out until they're actually ready and comfortable to animate fur and hair, so we don't just wind up with like a black blob with features. And each of these elements, you could argue, work on their own, but when you put them all together in the same scene, it just feels like strange. It feels like there were maybe like 2 teams of animators, and they didn't ensure their styles worked together. They just kind of showed up and put everything together. You know, at times it kind of reminded me of those classic turn-based RPG games where the characters can only really do one thing at a time, so they talk and then move, as opposed to doing both at the same time. And I feel like that is the reason that this movie falls under such harsh review, because if you can look past these visual elements, I think the rest of it's great, honestly. The music is incredible. I honestly thoroughly enjoyed all the music. The story is cute. It only has an 80-minute runtime, so to build a fun story in that time is difficult, especially in this year, where at this point we always expect 2-hour minimum movies. And I think the voice acting is well done too. I don't personally speak Japanese, but I have seen a lot of Japanese movies and TV shows, and I can recognize good voice acting from bad voice acting at least. And I think it's really well done here. There are some weird scenes story-wise that I didn't quite get. Like when she leaves the orphanage, she blows right by her friend Custer, doesn't even say goodbye to him, but then immediately starts complaining about missing him and wanting to hang out with him and wanting to see him. But she like ignores him in this scene, and I don't know why, it just kind of bothered me. Or like this laughing scene later on in the movie, it turned like Charlie Brown really quick. And we hadn't seen this at any other part in the movie. People had laughed before this. We didn't get this, and then we get full Charlie Brown. Looking through all this, I will say I still enjoyed the movie. It was a fun watch. It's not necessarily something I'm going to go back to anytime soon, but I don't feel bad for watching it. Now, it's hard to critique this movie by itself because it comes from such a renowned studio. But I would argue, if you had no idea it was a Studio Ghibli movie and you watched it by itself, you would enjoy it. It's just hard to let it stand alone when you know the history of that studio and you know the quality of work they can do. So when they don't hit that bar, it's so obvious that they don't hit the bar. All that aside, I will end this video on a high note. Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki are making another hand-drawn film. It's already been announced. It's already in the works. It's apparently his final film. He said that about this film too, so we'll see if that's true or not. I, for one, would be fine if he just keeps making them, but I am very much looking forward to a return to their high-quality hand-drawn craft. They're sort of like the last of a dying breed, but as long as we and they hold themselves to their high standard of work that we all know they're capable of, I'm very confident the new movie will be an instant classic. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my take. If standing by itself, I would give this movie like a 6 out of 10. Because it comes from Studio Ghibli, sadly I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. But, there you have it. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Share the video, talk about it. I sound like a broken record, but I am really trying to grow the channel, and every little bit of support helps that. That being said, we will see you on Saturday still, and until then, stay happy, stay healthy,